Hello. In class the other day we went through an activity that opened up some files in your Google Drive. That activity was meant for you to prepare for the project, and so I wanted to walk through that same activity again so that you would have the things that you need for the project, and then I'll briefly talk about the project. So you can find that activity in assignments, and then under assignments it's overdue, but we can click on this. It's 0901, September 1st. That's what 91 means. And Google Drive and Project7B. So you can see the basic instructions over here, and there's something to be submitted. And so the idea is for you to open up your Google Drive and make up a folder 190, grab this link, and then copy the file or the contents into Google Sheets. Make a copy of Sheets so that you can preserve the original data, create the appropriate histogram for the project, create a Google Docs file, write the header and write the research question for your project, copy the graphs, and then submit the link for sharing. That's for this assignment. And then you would continue with that document to finish your project. Alright, so I have my Google Drive open, and I wanted you to make a folder just so you can have your own folder for our particular class, which is going to be Math 190. And then once you got that created, you can just save all your stuff in there. Alright, let's go back to the assignment page and click on this link. This link is going to open a Google Sheets file that belongs to me. Because it belongs to me, you won't be able to make any changes. And so what you want to do right when you open it is to go to File and say Make a Copy. And then you can leave it like this, Copy of Serial Data, or you can just take out the copy of and just call it Serial Data. And if this isn't your folder Math 190, then look for the folder that says Math 190. You don't have to share it because it'll belong to you, and just press OK. Now if you look up your tabs or any pop-up windows that might have opened, you should have two versions of this, serial data and serial data. And so just remember that you're going to work on the serial data that you had just created or had just made a copy of. So I'm going to close this one and then just work on this particular serial data. Now this is the original set, but I don't want you to mess with this particular data. I mean, you can always come back and get access to this file again, but if you're going to be working on different projects for this particular data set, it'd be good to have the original data safe and sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another sheet. So I'm going to duplicate this worksheet. Now I have serial data and copy of serial data, and just for my own sake I want to know that this is actually for Project 7, so I'm going to rename it, and I'll rename it Project 7B. Okay? Alright, now before we make the data, this looks like it's kind of has a lot of information that I don't need. The particular project asks us to work on carbs and asks us to sort it according to adult versus children. So I really only need 2 columns, and I really don't need the rest. And so one way to deal with that is to take everything else out, or if you can just ignore it, that would be great. But I think I'm interested in taking the rest out. So this is the last column that I want to keep. So I want to erase all the other columns after that. So I'm going to click on this column, and I'm going to drag this over here. Now I'm going to hold my Shift button. So I have the Shift button held, and while I'm holding the Shift button, I'm going to click on this last column. I have to click on the S here to represent the whole column. I click on that, then I would highlight everything in between. and then I'm going to let go of my shift button. Now I have everything highlighted that I want to get rid of. I'm going to right click or control click, and then it says here delete columns G through S. So now I've gotten rid of all those columns that I don't need. I also don't need the shelf or the calories. So for this one, since there's two of them, let's see, I have to not have this highlighted, so let me go somewhere else. So while this column D is not highlighted, I will click and keep clicking, or hold on to the click button, and then drag to the next one. Okay, now I'm going to let go of the click, and then I'm going to right click and then delete these two columns. Now I don't need the name or the manufacturer, but if you're interested in knowing the name and manufacturer, you can. So I think since C and D are the two columns that I want to work with and they're next to each other, let's just say we're good with that. Okay, the next thing to do is to sort. Sort by, I want to sort by the target, which is adult and children. Right now they're kind of mixed up, and so we're going to sort our column C, or actually going to sort our column target. So I can highlight everything, or all the columns that I want sorted. I just clicked and dragged. Now they're highlighted, so I don't want to click and drag now. When they're not highlighted, I can click and drag to highlight everything I want to highlight. I can also press on this corner button that would highlight everything. So this is my whole sheet. I'm going to go to Data and Sort Range. So I want to specify what I want to sort by. There's some default here sorting by column A's and stuff like that. I want to sort range. I want to let them know that my data set has the header rows. The first row is the header. And so I want to sort by name, manufacturer, target. I want to sort by target. And then I'll just press sort. So now, if you look carefully, the target set is all adults until at some point it'll say child, and then now it's all child cereals. Okay, let's go back to the top. I'm going to scroll back to the top. Now I want to create a histogram for the adult carbs. So I'm going to click on the first carb in the adult. I'm going to scroll down until I see the last adult over here. I'm looking at number 17. That's the last adult. Now I'm going to press Shift, hold on to Shift, and then click. Now I've highlighted everything from where my last cursor was up to where I shift clicked. So now I have a set of numbers that I have highlighted, and these are just the adult carbs. So I'm going to go to Insert, and then I want to insert a chart. So I have choices here. What you want to do is you want to look for the choice that says histogram, and this is the one very nice feature about Google Sheets that Microsoft Excel does not have, is it allows you to quickly create a histogram. So this is my histogram. Now I can customize this now or later, so why don't I just keep it like this for now. There's a lot of things I want to change here. I'm going to press Insert, and I'll change it once I have it saved. So here's my graph. Now I'm going to create another graph, so before I confuse myself, I'm just going to click on this header that says histogram, and I'm going to say adult carbs, and I'll press enter. So that'll change the name. There's a few more things that I want to change here, but I'll change it once I get my other graph set up. So I'm going to shrink this a little bit. Now I'm going to scroll down to the child, and the first child carbs is 10.5, it looks like. Might be different from yours. instead of clicking and dragging, I'm going to scroll down to see where my last one is. Now this is highlighted. My first one is highlighted. I'm going to go to the last one, and I'm going to shift and then click. I'm holding on to the shift button still. Click, let go of the shift button. Now everything's highlighted that I want, and then I'll do the exact same thing. I'm going to insert the chart. This time the histogram was not the first choice, so I want to look for and make sure I highlight the histogram, and I'll press insert. Now this histogram is going to pop up wherever that first highlighted cell was. I want this next to the other one, so I'm going to drag this. I have to drag it somewhere, and then maybe I'll need to scroll up a little bit and drag. Scroll up a little bit more, and I want to keep dragging this till these two graphs are close to each other, at least in the same screen, so I can make some comparisons. So I'm going to drag this a little bit over here. I'm going to drag the new one over here, and I have to remember that the new one is the child one. I'll shrink this a little bit. Alright, so now I can see a couple of things that I want to fix up. The number line down in the bottom goes from 5, 7.5, 10. This one goes from 7.5. So in general, I want the same starting and ending points. I also, just for the sake of comparison, I want these heights to be the same. So I can make those quick changes here by double clicking. It looks like this one goes all the way up to about 16 or so. This one only goes up to 12. So maybe if I go to 16, 17, so I'll double click that, and I'll say I want to go from 0 to let's go to 18, and then enter. And then I'll do the same over here. Double click this, go from 0 to 18. So this shows me all the way up to 16, and so now I can see the evenness in the heights. Now I need to fix the evenness in the horizontal axis. Now I can double click on this, but I also want to adjust the bin size. So I'm just going to go do, for both of them, I'm going to go through a process where I'm going to edit the look and feel for this thing. So let's do that. If you click on a particular graph, and then you click on this drop-down triangle menu and go to Advanced Edit, this will walk us through a number of things. So the title of the chart is Adult Carbs. I'm good with that. The legend is this count over here. Now I don't really need that, so I prefer to get rid of it because it's just going to take up some extra space and extra unnecessary information. The font in the background, you can change that if you want. The features, we're just going to ignore this. We're not going to maximize our stack. The buckets, if you omit the dividers, or if you don't omit the dividers, you'll see it split up like this. Now you can decide to do that if you want, so you can actually count, or you can have your viewers count this. So I'm going to leave mine omitted, and we'll just leave it like that. Okay, bucket size. I think this has a bucket size of 2.5. I think it might be good to use a whole number like 2 or maybe 3. So use whatever you think might be appropriate. The outer percentile we won't worry about. We'll leave that blank. Now we fixed up the left vertical axis. We went from 0 to 18 there. We can have a title if we want, but since this is a histogram, we know that it's going to be the count, so I'm not going to bother with a title. I'm going to go back to the horizontal axis. This is the one that's really important, and I do want to label that this is actually carbs. And furthermore, these are carbs in grams per serving. Okay, we can change the font or whatever. We don't need to slant this because it all fits nicely. And then now, just for the sake of measuring things, I think it might be good to go from 0 to the last number. Looks like it'll be 24, so let's put 24 here. And then that's it. So this looks like it's a nice graph. If you want to change the color of this graph, you can go ahead and change the color of the graph. And then you can mess around with these other things, but be careful not to mess around with the data too much. So your graph should look like this. I'm going to update. And so now the adult carbs is fixed up. I'll do essentially the same thing here. More importantly, I want to make sure that my number line starts from 0 to 24 and it has the bucket size or bin size of 3. So I'll click on that and get that pull down menu for advanced edit and then walk through the same thing. So this is the child serials. So let's do that first. Let's get rid of the legend. Let's work on our horizontal axis. The title is going to be carbs. And then the minimum was 0 to 24. I missed the bucket size. Here's the bucket size. Make sure it's 3. And then change the color if you want. So this one has a lot more zeros, it looks like. So just keep that in mind. And then we'll update. We have 2 graphs now that we're going to put into our document. All right, let's go back to our Google Drive and create a document. So let's go to New and click on Google Docs. Let's do this first. Let's save this with your last name and your first initial, and then underline, and then Project7B. So just for clarity's sake, let's get that saved. Now let's go and set up our file here. We have a header. Let's put your name on it, and this is math 190 fall, or let's put the date. September 6th is when it's due, and then this is Project 7B. If we go to our workbook, we'll see that on page 38 there is Project 7B, and you have the actual question stated there. So I'm just going to copy this and say that this is our question, our research question. And so what we want to do is we want to be able to answer this research question with the data set. So your actual project will be that essay with 1 or 2 paragraphs that discusses this information. But for us, we want to be able to include our graphs. So since you have this document in Google Drive, and then you have your data set and your charts in Google Drive, we'll see that we can access that pretty easily. We're going to go to Insert. We're going to insert a chart from a sheet that we created. And so you have to just look for the correct sheet. And usually they put the first one as the last sheet that you worked on. So I'm pretty confident that although I have 3 serial data sheets over here, it's going to be the first one. And when you do that, it's going to show you all the possible choices you have. So basically it's going to look for all the graphs that you have created in your sheet. So here are the 2 graphs that I created. I'm going to click on the first one. You can only do one at a time. Keep it linked in case you make any changes in your sheets. It'll automatically update the changes in your document. So I'm going to say import, and then I'm going to just do a couple of spaces and then insert again chart from a sheet, and then that same sheet. So I got the adults in there. Now I'm going to get the child histogram in there. It would be really nice if these 2 were side by side, and so my little trick here is to shrink this just enough, and then you kind of have to shrink both of them kind of interchangeably until they're about the same size and they would fit in one line. Okay, so it's still not fitting. I'm going to continue to shrink it. Now there it goes. So now they both fit. And then I know it's kind of small, but when you print it out, it won't be too bad. And then we want to just look to see if it's about the same. Okay, so this is where we left it for this particular exercise. A lot of times you don't have to press Control S to save, it's automatically saved. And so what I want you to do is I want you to share this for the assignment, for the class activity assignment. Let's click on share. And then I don't really want to edit it, and I don't want you to allow other people to edit. So let's click on Can View, and then click on Get the Shareable Link. So anyone at Skyline, Cañada, or CSM can view this, and I think Cañada. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'll say done, and then now go back to your homework page, your assignment page. So this is the assignment page that we have. We've done everything in this list. We've opened up a Google Drive, made a folder. We got and copied the serial data. We copied the contents. We made a copy so that we preserved the original data. We created the histograms. We made a Google Docs file. We put the header. We copied the graph, and then now we're going to submit. So click on Submit Assignment, and the website URL that you just copied is here. So go ahead and put that and make any comments that you want to make to me, and then click on Submit. So that's your class activity assignment. Now, after you do that, you're still not done with your project. You're pretty much halfway done, actually. I think more than halfway. So what you need to do now is you need to take a look at this, and also maybe have the rubric next to you as you're doing this assignment, and then write down those paragraphs that you're going to write down, and then you're going to have this graded by your classmates. So try to write down as thorough as possible, and look at the rubric to make sure you're not going to lose any points when you're working on this. And so what I want you to do is if you go back to the assignments page, you'll see by date or by type upcoming assignments, or if you click on by type, you'll see it's a project assignment. So we can click on that. So this project, it says you can download the actual project workbook, and then here this refers you back to the activity that we did. So what I want you to do is I want you to be able to submit this project by making a hard copy that you're going to submit in class. And then what I want you to do is I want you to have the rubric as the cover page for this. And so we want to be able to do this so that we can grade the projects on that day that you submit it. The second part of this is you want to be able to submit this online. So you want to create this in Google Docs or Google Drive, and then download a copy as a PDF. This should be PDF. This will be changed by the time you you view this, and then upload it to this assignment page. And so this is upload thing over here again, submit assignment. So let me show you how to download this as a file that you can submit and print. So let's say you've completed this. We're going to go to File and Download As. You see some options over here, but PDF is what you want. So let's download this as PDF and just save it somewhere in your computer. And then now for the actual project, once you have it saved, you don't need the rubric for submitting this online. So you just go to Submit, Browse, and then you want to look for that particular document. And one of the things that's important here is that since this is only going to be looking for PDFs, so it's important that you actually saved it as a PDF. So I'm going to press, I'm going to select that file, that PDF file, and then make any comments if you want, and then submit assignment. Okay, so I'm looking forward to collecting and looking through your projects, both the hard copy and online, and good luck with the rest of this assignment, and I'll see you on Tuesday.